Quincy High School Carpentry. I hope you're enjoying your summer break. As you know, one of the projects I'm going to be working on is building a fence here. And I thought it might be interesting to go over all the tools that are involved in building a fence. And when I say building a fence, I'm talking about putting all the panels together, custom cutting the rails to fit, and custom cutting the posts for elevation changes. So there's some layout involved. There's some earth moving involved. You have to dig out for our posts, mix some concrete. I'm setting the posts in concrete, so there's something to think about. So why don't we do this? Grab a pencil and paper, pause the video, take a moment, and make a list of all the tools you think that might be involved in a project like this, and then compare them to the list that I show you during this video. So here's the project starting point. Here's some of our tools. And our end point, that fence right there. Okay, let's go over some tools. First thing we need is a string line. I have a string from one end of our fence system laid out to the other end. And that's the control line that I'm going to be following to keep my fence looking like there was some planning involved. Next, we need to dig our post holes. Here's one I just completed. My posts are coming out of the ground 7 feet, so I'm going into the ground 3 feet. And there's our post hole. So we start with our string line. You're going to want to have a 4-foot level. Now you may run into some roots along the way, so some of the tools you're going to want to have is a pickaxe to remove stone and dig around the roots. A couple of small hand tools for digging around the roots. A bow saw to cut the root out of the way, a reciprocating saw, and a branch cutter, again, to cut the roots and things that might be in the hole, preventing you from digging. Get into some of the small things for removing stones as you're going along. A bow rake for cleanup after, a spring rake for cleanup after. So you're going to start the hole with what's called the breaking bar. And right here I have a nice 8-foot breaking bar, and what you do with this is you pound this into the ground to loosen up the soil, and then you're going to follow it with a spade shovel to get going. Once you're into the hole and the spade shovel is getting a little difficult to use, you're going to switch to a post hole digger, which is this one right here, and even better is what we call the Boston digger. Love this tool. You break up the earth. You drop this into the ground, you close that, pick that material up out of the hole, and transfer it. And we've got our wheelbarrow for our mixing of cement, transfer shovel, and a hoe. So those are some of the tools to get started. Now, some of the more traditional carpentry tools involved for building the fence. Got a 1/2-inch drill with a specialty bit for drilling our rails. Got another 1/2-inch drill set up with a bit to drill the holes in our posts to receive the rails. Circular saw for cutting the posts, cutting the bevel tops, and cutting the post to length. Speed square for the layout. Hand saw for some of the finish cutting. Always going to have a hammer on the job. When it comes to tape measures doing a fence, I prefer the wide blade. And the reason for that is you're going to be stretching the tape measure out 8 feet between post to post, and you want a nice sturdy blade to hold up while you're doing your measuring. Always like to have some quick clamps to hold things temporarily into place. Block plane for the finished cuts of the last picket for the fine tuning. An impact drill for screws, and a drill for setting the finished screws. All right, so there you go. A quick rundown of some, or if not all, the tools you might need to put a fence system together. How did your list compare? We'll talk about it in September.